Welcome to Prerona TV Canada on behalf of Global Academy of Holistic Leadership and Coaching. It is our honor that we are starting our webinar series, which is leadership and leadership speaker series. And today is our episode 62. Today's our topic is leadership and human engagement. And we'll be discussing about building human-centric organization, human touch and strategy, leaders, personal empathy and growth. As usual, our regular speaker and trainer, Advocate Ziaur Rahman, is with us. He is the CEO of IITM and adjunct faculty of Independent University. Thank you very much, Advocate Ziaur Rahman, for being with us, and it's your time.
Thank you very much, Edward Mondol. Today is our 62nd session, and today's topic is leadership and can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear me. If you can be louder, I think yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so just for some reason it's not showing up. Can you see my screen?
Not right now. Earlier it was. You can just try again. Yes, you can do full screen.
Okay, I'm really
Perfect.
sorry. Sorry for the small glitch. Today is our 62nd session on leadership and human engagement. And we have been doing this for more than a year. So moving into our presentation today, we are going to be speaking on how leadership needs to be evolved with a human touch. Leaders are considered in different parts of the world in a different mindset, and it's sometimes culturally focused. So we have to understand that leadership is not about iron-fisted direction and supervising people. It might be a leadership where you are bringing empathy, sympathy, compassion, warmth, and everything. So today's session is going to be looking into leadership from the angle of human engagement and human interaction during the process of leadership. So moving forward, normally I start off with some quotation. So today's quotation is by Doug Conant, CEO of Campbell Soup, previous CEO. He says, to win in the marketplace, you must first win in the workplace. So if you want to win somewhere in life, you must win within your own territory. That means, let's say you want to be a great leader. If you are a good person in your own house, in your own surrounding, in your own capacity, then there is the possibility of you moving into the bigger perspective, that is the work marketplace. So being a good leader within your own enclave, within your own structure, within your own team members, is the first stepping stone to become a great leader in the marketplace. So this is vital, that as a person, as a human being, we need to lead within the environments in which we are before we expect others to follow outside my own territory, my own environment. Moving forward, this is by Simon Sinek. When people are financially invested, they want a return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. This is interesting. When you are only considering your engagement within the environment as a give and take kind of environment, then you're only focused on a return. For example, you buy a particular stock in the Dhaka Stock Exchange or somewhere else in the world, and you are expecting a return of 10-20%. But when you are working with the people, when you are engaged in day-to-day affairs with the people, then you are invested in the people. You are building up your connectivity, your entire enterprise, etc., along with these people. Then you want to not only be getting an investment on return, you want to contribute. That means you want to put your own soul, your own energy, your own strength into the design of the organization, into making the organization more successful. So the difference between just being an investment focused initiative to having the perspective of a wholesome 360-degree engagement. Obviously, in the 360-degree engagement, you're more involved. You are part of the system. You want the system to develop, and you are contributing in that system. So as a leader, if you are invested with your own personal energy, your personal strength and skills and capacity within an environment, then obviously the environment will be more effective and it will grow faster in whichever direction you want to take the environment. So if it's a business house, it will grow financially. If it's a social community development focused organization or a political organization, they will grow automatically with your contribution and your time and energy into the environment. So a leader is definitely focused on the contribution of your own energy and your own capacity, rather than just getting there and just doing the job and leaving the environment. That way, you will never grow from being an average organization to being a wonderfully large organization, or some organization which is very effective and efficient. So moving forward, this is another quotation. It's a long one. It is by Peter Senge, another management guru. He says, business and human endeavors are systems. We tend to focus on snapshots of isolated parts of the system and wonder why our deepest problems never get solved. Fantastic quotation. This is clearly articulating the fact that we take things in a snapshot. We don't look at the bigger picture. In life, in any leadership challenge, we tend to focus sometimes without looking at the bigger picture. So if you're looking at the narrow perspective, you may arrive at a solution faster, but it may not give you the right solution. Why? Because the other components of this process, maybe the challenge, or there were other areas or domains of obstacles that needed to be looked into much more vigorously, but due to lack of time or lack of energy or lack of wisdom and knowledge and not having a grander perspective of the entire situation, maybe you have arrived as a new person into an environment and you really didn't look at all the undercurrents. You just looked at the top of the iceberg, whereas 80% of the iceberg was actually floating under the water, and your vision did not catch those problems. You will arrive at a solution which is half-baked and half-witted. It will not deliver the right set of results. So as a professional, as a leader, our focus should be on looking at a systemic perspective of every situation. So whether it's human engagement and human endeavors, or whether it's a systemic issue, in both cases, we have to look at the issues of bringing the issues of maybe it's whether it's a people issue, people-centric issue, whether it's a process-related issue that needs to be evolved, or whether it's a technology-driven and process-centric issue that needs to be looked into, or whether it's a system which needs to be completely redone because of the environment, and the business ecosystem has lifted itself from where you are placed currently. So your solution, given the context of the business environment, has changed, and that would be very difficult to navigate unless you bring in new input and new perspective into the whole design, into the whole process that needs to be evolved. So here your leadership engagement is dealing with new human endeavor, perhaps, or new human engagement dynamic, which you have not incorporated in the system that you are designing. So from a systems perspective, something is not right. And that's where a good leader has to focus on looking at the entire system, not just the compartmentalized perspective. However, having said this, there are times where if you look at the entire system, it may take a long time and you need a quick fix for the time being. Maybe it's an important issue, but there are also other urgent pressing issues in front of you. So as a leader, sometimes you have to slice your time, dice your time by constraining your effort in one domain, while the other domain that needed more attention, you pay more attention to that perspective. While you are cutting some corners in this particular domain, which also needs your attention, but maybe you can shift it a few hours later or a few days later. As a leader, this is the strategic perspective that you have to put in order to move your enterprise forward, in order to move your team members forward, because you have to be and on the one hand, the solutions guy. At the same time, you also have to be, on the other hand, someone who can contain the issues without the issues flaring up for the time being, because you need a much larger engagement dynamic that needs to be set up in order to solve a certain problem, but you don't have the time at your hand. So those are the crucial moments that we are discussing, and those are the issues that you have to sort of find your way, weave your way into, and create the new systems approach in order to engage your people, in order to ensure that their human and dynamics is working without ebbing, without having a lowering of their motivation and incentive. So this is a very crucial issue of you engaging your human endeavors while also trying to fix certain challenges within your organization. So this is by Peter Senge, and he actually wrote this part in the Practice of Learning organization in his book. So moving forward, this is by a website. It's called markamoment.com. This quotation is suggesting that the most effective way to cope with change is to help create it. Another very powerful statement. If you want to adapt or cope with change, why don't you be part of the change? Why don't you initiate the change process? Change is a constant, we know that. And as things move, technology, people, process, environment, things are moving forward. A lot of things are taking place that were not there even 6 months before. So you have to be in a position of leadership to know that change will be a part of your life within your organization. You can't cling on to a old system and expect an extraordinary output at the end of the day. That will not be very effective. So as a professional, as a leader in the house, if you can understand that change is an imperative, why don't you contribute in that change? Why don't you create or co-create that change. If you are in the driver's seat to move the organization forward, then obviously you are creating a certain level of momentum and energy, and you're also engaging the people dynamic within your organization. People are not just bored with their old set of activities. People are being challenged to look into different affairs, look into different process, different products that you are bringing onto your organization. This would create a happy engagement dynamic within your organization. So as a leader, you have to be part of the change management process in this, and this process is partly done by you taking the leadership to create the change. So if you are the change agent, if you are the architect for change, others will emulate you, others will find their own energies that will, they will lap onto your bandwagon of energy and co-collaborate to create something meaningful. So human engagement is strengthened, your entire organizational capacity will grow. So as a leader, we have to be focusing on this type of leadership through which you're bringing out the human engagement and human endeavor to create the wonderful outcome that you have been thinking about and that where you are invested in at this point. Moving forward, this is another quotation that we normally have on leadership. This is my quotation. Leadership is about building human engagement and enthusiasm so they can deliver their best performance for the organization. So I have purposely brought in two issues. One is human engagement and the other one is enthusiasm. If you have enthusiasm, you have passion, you have energy, then your mind will take in the right direction. You will feel more energetic. You will have more brain cells that will be operating around a system where you are thinking of the new evolution, you're thinking of the new change. If you are in a situation where you are stuck with the old and you don't really want to change, it will show in your energy, it will show you in your thought process. You will be slow in moving forward. Somehow, internally, your spirit will not be engaging with the new dynamic environment that needs to be there for the change to take place. So, as a leader, our primary focus should be on building the human engagement through offering a set of enthusiastic business process restructure, or offering a set of enthusiastic environment where the people feel excited. It could be a motivation, it could be an incentive, it could be a leadership energy that you spark within the environment so that they are more efficient, more effective, and more forthcoming with the newness or the new spirit that needs to be brought into the system so that the system is developed even further. So this is the organizational culture where you are focusing on building the next level through offering some form of enthusiasm, some form of passion, some form of energy. And this is done, if it's done on a regular basis, so everybody's spirit will be buoyant, everybody's spirit will be high, and obviously output will come. If you notice in your personal life, if something good happens, let's say in the last 2 or 3 days, you feel bubbly, you feel excited, you feel that the world is working around you, with you, you feel that you are at the top of the world doing a lot of things. So this is a personal feeling that we all go through in our journeys in life. Similarly, sometimes when things are not going proper, you feel dispirited, you feel that everybody around you is not supporting you, they are sort of an evil enemy type of person around you. I'm just figuratively speaking, but you feel that negative energy within you. So our job as a leader, as a professional manager or an entrepreneur, is to find those bolts of energy, capture those bolts of energy, bring those energy into the table, into every engagement that we are trying to focus on. Having said this, we also know that if you're constantly changing, then sometimes things will not work out properly because you didn't give enough time for the new change to actually take shape and get its proper benefit. Before getting that benefit, you are again moving your team to a new domain, a new area. Things will not work very properly. It's like building a house. You're building a wonderful house, but during the process of your building the property, you are changing it too often, too regularly. Ultimately, the house will never be built. You will be always in the construction mode. That is not very fair for your enterprise and people around you. That you have to also realize. So the level of change that you will be communicating and the level of change that you will be incorporating into your house, into your organization, has to be pragmatic as well. It might be a little ambitious, but it has to be also pragmatic given the set of circumstances within the framework around the business framework, organizational framework that you have. You have to stand out, but if you're too far out, then you may lose your connectivity with your people. So you ought to change, you ought to communicate this change, and you ought to be making the change take place around enthusiasm and human engagement. But you have to know where to go a little bit slow. So moving forward, leadership is a very tricky a matter. We feel that it will happen just automatically because of my academic learning, but in reality, it's a blend of your interaction with people, your knowledge, your skills, and your empathy and compassion around your people. Moving forward, building human-centric organization. This is all about finding your leadership in a human-centric organization. First and foremost, we need to have this culture of respect. We need to respect our people. If you are respectful, then they will be respectful, vice versa. They will also feel that I'm part and parcel of the system. I mean something to the organization. My input is given due respect to. Therefore, I will be open to contributing. If you are always shutting people down in a meeting and telling people that, look, you guys don't do anything very exciting. It is I who am in charge and I am going to direct, and it is I who would run all the affairs within the organization, and you are just my agents of workers who would go out and deliver the output. That may work for a little while, but in the grand capacity of transforming the organization, it will backfire. It will not result in the outcome that you are intending, no matter how hard you work. Day before yesterday, I went to meet a CEO, and the CEO was telling me that he stays at his work for 12 hours a day, and he's trying to get things done. And then I asked, who else stays with you during the 12-hour period? In that perspective, he was fine. He said, I don't keep my people waiting for me. They come and they go. I just have one or two people staying with me. So I informed to this CEO that you also need to get this person to leave, because if somebody is staying for 10, 12 hours a day, you will burn yourself as a professional, and so will that person. So it's about having an integration, having a capacity to understand what is at play within your enterprise and how you need to move your organization forward. It's just because you can work 12 hours a day does not mean as a leader you ought to be making others work 12 hours a day. You have to give others the reason to work extremely hard so that they deliver the output that you all are expecting. So while you have to also understand that you don't want to be in a position where you get dog tired working for 3 weeks and then you go sick. That is not the perspective. So anyway, moving beyond the topic, moving into the topic that we are talking about, a respect culture should be a primary focus for every organization that is trying to lead in their own domain. Respect culture comes from the principle of valuing your employees. If you value your employees in terms of their commitment, in terms of their activities, in terms of their level of discussion and communication, and you give them the floor to discuss about things and try to get in their feedback, then you are valuing your customers. You value your customers by paying that person the market market competitive salary and incentive and etc., and offering the right set of vacations and it's extra fringe benefits that he or she is due off. So that is a form of valuing your employees. You value your employee by being courteous, being respectful. So these two things go uh, together, the respect culture and the valuing employees. The next one is being committed. Be committed and empathetic. The word is committed and empathetic. Empathetic in the sense that you understand his or her perspective. If you can be in that person's shoes, then you will know what that person is thinking. It is impossible to be 100% empathetic, uh, but if you are working alongside your professional, your junior, your colleague, you will know what is going on and what is the issue at play, what type of challenges and what type of mental challenges or other form of professional challenges this person is facing, because you will have an open line of communication. And if when you have an open line of communication, you can be framing a perspective of being empathetic, and then you are there as a mentor, as a coach, as a guide to that person. That way you are actually committing yourself to being a true leader. So this is about commitment and about being empathetic towards your people. And this is not just your immediate people. If you're leading in house, in an organization, you have to have that same energy and same spirit for all the other people. And you have to bring this culture within your organization. So you being empathetic, you are signaling to the people within your organization that everybody else needs to be empathetic and committed to their work environment. And that's how you shape a wonderful organization. And last but not least, you have to encourage human aspiration. It also includes risk taking. You have to give the people within your environment the capacity to grow. So they have to be passionate so that they can deliver more with their own energy. And when you have everybody working in synchronicity, then things automatically will work much more efficiently and much more effectively, and the outcome will be grand. So that's where you have to build the human aspiration. As a leader, our primary focus is to drive the passion, create the workable environment, and engage the people so that their human aspirations are lifted, so they will deliver an optimal result, which is very close to a maximized output. So moving forward, human touch and strategy. Again, human touch meaning the being affable, being friendly, being there when somebody is needing you. That's the human touch. And what is the strategy to issue in the human perspective? So we have to create this a philosophy which is based on compassion and consideration. If these two words are built into your organizational culture, then ultimately you will be a better organization than your competitors. people will be more inclined to stay within your enterprise and produce results. So you will have more involved people, you will have more engaged employees, and you will be having more driven employees, because if somebody is happy within the work environment, he or she will automatically drive forward the parameters within the organization. The key performance indicators that will be set for him or her or the department will be achieved much more easily, because everybody has this feeling of being welcome, feeling of respect, and having the warmth within the organization and camaraderie and friendship. So they will work as an A team. So this is about building the A team through compassion and consideration. So this is an integral core philosophy within your enterprise that you need to follow through. Promote honesty and integrity culture. This goes without saying. If you're honest and integrity driven, ethical and moral, and you are doing things in the most logical fashion, being fair to people, fair to your employees, fair to society, fair to your stakeholders. So this level of honesty will be easily understood by your stakeholders, the people who will be buying your products and services. So you will be in a much better shape to promote your organization. Technically, you will not need to promote your organization. Your work, the effort, your commitment within the enterprise, it will be easily, it will easily be dissipated within the grander scheme of your community. Everybody will know this is an organization which is based on the principle of fairness, equity, and justice. So people will easily feel that perspective and be willing to associate with you, your product, and your services. So moving forward, promoting people-centric culture. Again, when we talk about people-centric culture, we had talked about it previously, so I will narrow it down here. We're talking about people engagement culture, making sure your people within your enterprise are happy and they are driven and they are having a perspective which are aligned with the organizational perspective. So when these perspectives are all aligned, obviously an output will come about. So people-centric perspective is when you are dealing with your enterprise's goals, visions, and objectives, which are strategically also aligned with the human engagement and capacity and strength of the people, so that both the employees and the organizational culture is sort of working together. They have a very good bonding. The organizational culture you can't really see with your eyes, you feel it, but people-centric approaches, you actually have to frame them as policy within the organization. So that's what we're talking about, of having a people-centric approach, and that will create the human touch to build the organizational culture and ultimately create a strategic direction for the organization. Encourage human capacity development. This is all about self-development. It's all about building the enterprise to the next level by making sure the people within the organization are effectively working with the right skills. And if they don't have the right skills, you create this human touch where you actually have a discussion through which you have a very clear understanding of what people are needing and what needs to be done in order for that person or the set of people to move to a particular standing so that they can actually deliver the output at an optimum level. So this human capacity development will come about by having an open communication, having the human touch by your managers and your employees. So if you are sitting in an environment, an organizational environment where people are not putting you down, but where people are pushing you to do better by giving you the ropes of success, meaning they're giving you the technology support. They're giving you the people-centric support. They're giving you the organizational cultural support and training and development. Obviously, the enterprise will move from being an average enterprise, let's say, from previous CEO's role to you becoming a new CEO. You have transformed all of these engagement dynamic, and that's how you have embedded a very strong culture of human touch and aligned with the strategy that you want to frame for your enterprise. Obviously, your output would be much better than the previous CEO's output. So as a professional, you have to start thinking that where am I in the grand scheme of activities within the organization? And am I in a position to navigate some of these understanding and energies in a meaningful perspective to recreate a better enterprise? If you are in that type of shoe, you should start thinking and start picking those ideas, and also take some of the issues that we are talking about today in the domain of human engagement, human passion, and human excellence, to incorporate them within your enterprise at different levels and see for yourself how things evolve. If you start doing it, and if you are committed to making the transformation truly take place, then it will happen. I used to consult a company CEO previously, or the second person within the organization. They wanted to change, but they themselves were not changing as a human being. They were very stern, very judgmental, very focused on delivery and performance driven, while shouting with people. Ultimately, that organization did not do well. Ultimately, that organization is right now in the brink of failure, although it was a close to a 50 crore sales driven organization, Taka sales driven organization, which is a substantial figure from the context of a middle enterprise in Bangladesh. But now the organization is failing. Why? Because the top management did not resonate well with the people's perspective. They were not people-centric people. They lost the human touch. They were positioned as the top boss and the second boss within the organization. It was a father-son enterprise. And ultimately, they were not dealing with a professional environment. They were getting angry and frustrated. So you should not be in in a situation where you show your tantrums. That's just because somebody has failed a particular project. Try to show them the ropes and then bring them up to speed. And that's how you will ultimately create a wonderful enterprise. So the human touch will create the strategic impetus to ultimately push your organization to the next level. And you have to have the patience, the energy, and the compassion to be there to deliver to that level as an organization. To take that organization to that level, you have to have that perspective and energy and compassion. So moving forward, leaders, empathy, and growth. We have been talking about empathy here quite a bit. So being empathetic, being in a position to know what the other person's situation and being there to support would be very helpful for a leader. And it's also logical because that person will feel that I have someone around me who understands my situation and giving me some solace or giving me some direction, so I can concentrate on my work more easily. Promote wellness culture and adaptive culture. Wellness culture also deals with your mental wellness, your physical wellness, your financial wellness within the organization. So you have to create this type of environment, and you have to adapt to this new environment, because as we said, that the transformations are taking place within organizations today. And if you take notice of organizations which are very successful in today's economy. You will see that they are adapting to these human-centric perspectives and incorporating wellness program within your enterprise so that the ultimate outcome results. You are becoming part of an ecosystem, a family ecosystem, so to speak. For a family, you do many things. So an organization is also can be considered as a family of professionals. So why can't you be bringing in the wellness factor within your family of professionals? So that's what you have to start building on, and you have to communicate these issues on a regular basis and also show forth, and by giving the due direction so that the trust is built within your environment. Trust building becomes a very important component. Encourage growth through effective participation, and in any change dynamic, in any transformational dynamic, in order to build the growth within the enterprise, you have to make the people get their feet wet by participating. So if people are participating into new program, into new dynamic within the organization, then an output will result for the organization. So as a professional, as a leader in the house, you ought to be wearing multiple hats, and the hats are not just being efficient. It's not just being driving your employee to the most optimum output just by looking at his or her work endeavor, etc. No, we are human beings. We are living animals with passion, energy, emotion, etc. As a professional, we have to understand that these important and relevant instincts and human psychological factors are there in everybody's lives, and everybody has to be able to manage these issues in the most meaningful and most compassionate and most considerate way. So building the fabric of an organization to the next level will need these management of the total people-centric perspective. So effective participation will come through having a wonderful environment that you actually set up for the organization, and you bring in the actors, which are your employees, to play out their roles in this grand scheme of the game of organizational growth. And then you wait for them to perform. Some will be extraordinary, some will achieve a reasonable success, others may be failing a bit. Your job would be there to manage them with the right set of knowledge space, the right set of human engagement and human support, right set of motivation, so that they become more efficient through their effective understanding of the process and accepting the change that is needed to move the enterprise forward. So having said this, the last point that I would like to raise is the fact that when people are not at all following through your system, or the effective system is not being taking any impact, having any impact on this person, what do? You obviously counsel, you obviously communicate the issue with that person or the set of person, and wait for them to actually align their energies with the new dynamic of the organization. And if they are failing miserably, then you have no choice either to terminate them or give them an option to actually work in a different domain and try to find out another space where that person can actually contribute. And if not, then the ultimate issue is to get them to let them know that we can't be having you within this organization. This is the last thing that you should be doing. The most effort should be given on actually building the person's strength and components and energy level so that they become more efficient, productive, and outcome oriented. So moving with this perspective of having the sympathy or empathy, and the growth of the organization will automatically come. A happy environment will create happy outcome. So moving forward, I'm at the end of my session, and normally I have a question. So today's question is, if a leader becomes too empathetic, then does he or she not run the possibility of being misunderstood as a soft-hearted leader and face consequences? So let me start from the back. Face consequences. What I'm referring to is people will not listen to you because you're a soft-hearted person, so to speak. People will overtake you. People will think that, oh, boss is very sweet and soft. He will not worry. We made a mistake, and perhaps we will not make a mistake. Without really looking into the issue much more critically, you just take a cursory glance into the problem, thinking that your boss is not very stern. That is a perspective. When you become extremely empathetic in every single situation, you are always feeling the pang of the situation, and you are siding with your employee and almost feeling that the same level when like frustration or same level of discomfort as the employee, then maybe things may not work out for you. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to be in a position of empathy. You must show obviously a level of empathy, but if you outstretch this level of empathy to the last corner of the world, then people will not be following your direction. People will feel that this is too soft of a person. I should not technically use the word soft with being empathetic. I will be doing disservice to the word empathetic, but I'm trying to give this perspective that being empathetic up to a point is absolutely needed, and you have to be very rationally and logically listening to your employee or the set of employees who have not done or who needs to do better, and they have the capacity but they just don't know how to get about doing certain things. You have to be empathetic and a good listener and guide and direct that person. But if you are too soft as a human being, and if you are completely sold on whatever the person is telling you, then you might be taken for a fool, and people will overtake you. People will come and think that I really don't have to worry. My boss is so kind, and he will always forget my mistakes, and I will continue on in this job with making regular mistakes. I'll just offer a note of apology, and the boss will be kind and sweet and give me the next chance to carry on. But I will never learn. That type of mindset may kick in. So that will be devastating. You don't want to be in those type of situation. So I would conclude by saying that empathetic is absolutely essential, but you have to be also a manager with some grit and some level of sternness at times, because you are running a ship and you need to make sure your ship reaches safer shores, weathering the storm. So the storm could be the unsettled employees' mindset, and you have to navigate their passion, energy, and commitment and drive them forward so that they are directed towards a particular journey, which is your strategic outcome that you are looking out for. So I would say being empathetic is absolutely vital, but being stern at times is also very much required for a leader to be successful in his or her role. So thank you very much. And I am Advocate Zia Rahman, CEO of IITM and adjunct faculty of Independent University Bangladesh. And good luck to all of you. Signing off from Dhaka. Back to you, Edward Probir Mondal. Edward, I'm finished with my session. So I'm signing up from Dhaka.
Yes, thank you very much. Hello. All right. Thank you very much for the wonderful session, leadership speaker series. With that, we've completed our episode 62, and we welcome you to see our next session, which will be held on next Wednesday at the same time at Mountain Standard Time 9 p.m. and Eastern Standard Time 11 p.m. and Bangladesh Standard Time on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. and Indian Standard Time at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. With that, thank you very much. Stay safe and stay blessed.